Hi everyone, and welcome to my next video in my Outlander series, reviewing the books and then comparing and contrasting them with the seasons of TV. So today we are comparing Dragonfly and Amber, book 2 in the saga series, whatever we're going with, to season 2 of Outlander. So this one is a controversial one, but I in general, have pretty good things to say about it just because they're still my Frasers and they're still the coolest in the land. I didn't mention this in the last one, but I got this cool stag necklace. It says Expecto Patronum on it, but it also works for the Frasers because they have a stag on their house crest. Okay, so let's get talking. I'm gonna move you a bit closer. There we go, that works better. Okay, so like I did with the last one, let's kind of start with some pros of it and some cons or things that are missing that were kind of annoying to me. So let's start with the pros. First, the look of this show, guys. The look of it. The costumes in this, the elegance of our characters, the beauty of the environments, whether we're in Paris or when we're in Scotland, is just so rich. It is so full of beauty, and to me it's even more vibrant than it was in the first series. And so I love that we get to talk about that when we talk about the TV show, is just how amazing Terry Dresbach did with the clothes. And I don't know who the designer is in some other aspects, but I will look that up and put it down here. And just to see their skills and the things that Starz supports for them to do is amazing. And we're so lucky to have that. And the quality has really continued to just be great. Next, I really love how the first episode of the season starts. So the way that the second season, and this will also be I put it in as a pro instead of a con because it's still the shock that you get when you start the second book. Because in that one, you're starting 20 years in the future in 1968. And in this one, we're starting in 1948 when Claire comes back through the stones to the normal time period and to Frank. And for that, it's been 3 years. She is starved, dehydrated, her body's pretty beaten up, and she's pregnant. And nobody knows where she is. She's still has a lot of trauma. Frank really looks like Blackjack, who she's just seen recently. And we just see her in kind of this wild and frazzled way. And she's not ready to give up on what happened. She's trying to figure out what happened to Jamie, who she just saw, but he's been dead for 200 years. And it is still that traumatizing feeling with giving us a little bit of a look of what that would have been like for her to come back, instead of jumping straight ahead so far and then making the whole series be a flashback, which is still the case because Claire tells the whole story to Frank. It's just that they don't bookend it with her here and her with Frank. They start with her here and then they end with what was actually the beginning, which is kind of cool. And I really liked it. And Through a Glass Darkly is the first half of that episode is amazing. Second half of the first episode, I think we all agree, is a bit of a jarring thing, which it's supposed to be. But I just feel like our intro to Paris isn't as good as it could have been if they maybe started it out as they do in the book, right? So anyway, but we're not at the cons yet. Next, the danger. One of the things they definitely keep high is the danger levels we're dealing with. Claire and Jamie are having to lie to a lot of people. We start in the first episode with danger where they piss off the Lecomte de Saint-Germain. Sorry, there's gonna be a lot of French words and you're just gonna have to deal with it because I'm not looking this stuff up on Google, and I'm sorry, but I've heard it enough on the TV show. I'll be as true as I can. And him having it out for them right away. And right away, we know we're not completely among friends. We're going to have to lie about a lot of things and it's going to be really uncomfortable. And so right away, we know we're in danger. We're in stressful situations and we just kind of got to keep it at that level. And so that makes really good television, right? In the book, we have 700 pages. We have more time to settle in. We get to see Claire and Jamie, a little more comfortable in their lives and getting over the things that had just happened to Jamie slowly. We don't jump over anything, but things are a little bit better. And we'll get to that in my cons because I have some cons about that. My final pro, which there are a ton, there's a lot of great things. Some of the new characters, I should talk about that, sorry, before we get to my final pro. I love Mother Hildegard, Master Raymond. I love King Louis, who is so creepy, but yet elegant, but yet you're scared what he would do at any moment. And I just love it. I love his Star Chamber, and that whole episode is just amazing. I love it so much. And I love Mother Hildegard in contrast to the book. I think they did an amazing job. The actress who plays her, you may know her from Harry Potter as playing Madame Maxime. She has an amazing line, which I was sad to know wasn't actually from the book, but I loved it so much because after Claire goes through, we'll transition right into it. My final pro was the Faith episode. When we lose Claire and Jamie's first baby, we lose Faith at probably about 6 months along. And it's so hard. The book actually breaks up what's happening a little more. The TV show does that as well. But in the book, there is a little more breathing because that takes place over a lot amount of time. Sorry, there are literally streaks right here. If I move forward, you can see them, but right. Anyway. And in the show, we're really being pushed through this. And anyway, there's this scene with Mother Hildegard in that episode where she says let our transgressions be thrown into the sea, which is from the Bible. And Claire says there's not a deep enough hole or spot in the sea for what's going on because she believes that Jamie broke his word and tried to kill Blackjack Randall. And when we find out what really happened and that Blackjack was raping Fergus, and honestly, in compared to the books, which they don't put in the show because we hate Fergus, or we hate Blackjack enough that we'd believe he would do this, it wasn't 100% started as a rape because Fergus was willing to be a prostitute in certain situations, but Blackjack, of course, being the sadistic pig that he is, takes it too far, and this is still a child, so I'm not excusing any of that. I'm just saying, the book situation, Fergus kind of ended up in that room in a different situation, and I agree with how the TV show changes that. That's my point. Don't come for me. I'm not saying it was okay in either situation. It's horrible. I just mean the situation's set up differently. And that's why Fergus feels so guilty about it, is because he had put himself there willingly, and then it turned bad, and then Jamie entered, even though none of this is Fergus's fault. None of it is. It's all Blackjack's fault. That's why Fergus feels that guilt. And he's afraid to tell Claire what really happened. And when she finds out, she goes to see Mother Hildegard because she's the niece of one of the kings. I can't remember if it's because the King of France is Louis. But she's somebody's goddaughter. She's somebody's goddaughter. And she gets Claire a meeting with King Louis so that she can ask for Jamie to be pardoned. And Mother Hildegard says, "So you found a deep enough sea." And I can't say it with the weight that she does, but if you've seen the episode, you know what I mean. And it's such a powerful scene because it is true, not only now that Claire knows the whole story, there is a deep enough sea, but also, she always was going to save Jamie. It's just the hurt that we're feeling. She wanted to punish him and she hated him. And I think the acting in the Faith episode is some of the best I've ever seen, period. And the fact that Outlander is never up for the awards that it should be just shows me the corruptness. No, I'm just kidding. The snobbery towards certain shows because it's a ride. it's beautiful and painful and gut-wrenching when Claire's describing what their baby looked like, and Jamie doesn't even know if it was a boy or a girl, and he wanted that baby so much, and he had fears of what would happen to Claire and what would happen to their baby, because being pregnant in that time period, it was a 50-50 shot that you would live. And Claire can, she has problems with her pregnancy, and it ended up being good that Jamie made her go back, because she would have died with Brianna even if they hadn't been in Culloden. She needed modern medicine, and it's crazy. So, okay, enough gushing. I could keep going. You know it. I love it. Always the pros is the acting. That will always be a pro for me. Katrina and Sam and Tobias and everyone in the show are excellent. They're so good. And Fergus, guys. Fergus. Oh, I'm such a Fergus fan. When he comes on the first time. And there's too many scenes to talk about. They do so great. So some of the cons. The biggest con for me is the situation of their relationship at the beginning of the TV show. So I talked about this when we compared the first one, that in the show, they choose to have them go to France right away at the end. They go to France after they've been at the Abbey, where in the book, they go to France and there's an Abbey in France where one of Jamie's uncles is at, because he has lots of uncles. And they spend a lot of time there. They actually have sex then and have started rebuilding their trust and their relationship after Jamie's horrific rape and assault and all the things by Blackjack. And in the show, they choose to draw that out into season 2. And there ends up being like 3 or 4 episodes where they haven't had sex yet. And like I've talked about in my previous one, Jamie and Claire, they definitely have a love language of touch together. And they've drawn that out in the show to, granted, to show the trauma he's dealing with, but he still deals with the trauma in the book. It's just that he knew that he didn't want to live if he couldn't still touch his wife and love her. And so that is like the final thing to ransom a man's soul, is he needs to know that he can still have sex with his wife. And that's the end of the first book, is they are able to reconsummate their relationship, and he knows that he can do it. But they still have to work on like their intimacy again. Like that's what needs working on. And in the show, they choose to draw that out in a way that I don't like. And they make it more antagonistic near the end of it than I think it should be. But that's good drama. Again, I understand. It's just that's in my con side of things. The other con is that because this is such a huge book, it's the same thing we talked about in Outlander. One of the things the show has to do is each episode, you need to have a beginning, middle, and end. You need to have a rise and fall of everything. And you can't always do that and stay honest to the story. So what happens is there's a lot of condensing of the fun parts of the book to keep only the dramatic points. I think that's the best way to explain it. And that's just sad to me because I love those parts. Just being honest. And I think it's why a lot of people had problems with the second season of the show when it was coming out, because they were just bouncing from these drama points, and we weren't getting to see the relationship build the same way it was in the season before. And that's a main issue that I have as well. Yeah, it's a thing. And also, the show loves Frank more than we love Frank. And I brought this up in the first one, and I bring it up again. The show loves Tobias Menzies. I love Tobias Menzies. He's an amazing actor. But they give Frank way more sympathy than Diana does. And they give Frank way more screen time and appreciation than we do. And I have a problem with that. I don't like it. So that's all I'll say. I've ranted about it enough. And I really will rant about it when we do Voyager and season 3, because the things they do for Frank just hurt me, because they do it at the expense of Claire and Jamie, and I'm not a fan of it. two more cons for the TV show here. And they kind of go together. The first is how we meet Brianna at the beginning. And now I love Sophie Skelton, and she has since won me over heart and soul. I love her in season 3 and 4. I'm into it. I'm so excited to see her in season 5. However, her accent wasn't good in the beginning. She's very young. It's all right. And her interactions with Roger, which is supposed to be like an instant chemistry, is pretty rough and not as fun as it is in the book. But it's great. We love them. I was so excited to get them at the finale episode of season 2. They are adorable, and I really love where they went with it, but it was hard in the beginning. And then finally, I don't like how the show portrays older Claire in season 2, specifically in the last episode of season 2. I'm just not a fan of how they have her act. I think she's a little like saucier and a little more relaxed in the book, and they keep her away from Culloden in the book. Like, she does not want to go there, and in the show, that's the first place that she goes, and she sits by the Fraser grave marker, and she just talks to him and tells him all these things, and that makes for good television, but it doesn't show like the passion in Claire where she like refuses to go there because it hurts too bad. She can never touch her foot to that place. And they leave out the gravestones. They go to the cemetery and they find Blackjack Randall's stone. And Frank actually put a stone for Jamie there because he studied Jamie. And he put up a stone that said, James Malcolm, husband to Claire. And that's when Claire tells Brianna, I knew him, he was your father, and it leads into everything. Instead of Brianna finding out that her mother probably cheated on her dad and then blaming that for everything, and that's how it comes out. So I'm just not quite a fan of the antics of that and like how it all like, and it comes from them doing the beginning and the end of the book in one episode, even though I liked how they started the show. My thing fell over. It's time to end. Anyway, this one was a little bit all over the place. And in general, season 2 is a lot of people's least favorite. It's my least favorite just because I don't get enough of the relationship of Jamie and Claire. And I'll tell you, in this book, the relationship that's building between them during their first 3 years of marriage is amazing. Like, it's enough of a love that it lasts for 20 years later. And I love that. Like, he gets her these beautiful anniversary presents. He is such a good husband in the midst of all these things. They work together so well. They fight together well. And I love them. I love them so much. And I still love the show. It's great. I'm really excited to move on to Voyager and to season 3, which Voyager used to be my favorite. We'll see now, though. But thank you so much for joining me for my ramble about season 2 of Outlander. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you like. Tell me if I'm totally wrong, if I'm right, whatever. I'd love to hear it. Next month, we'll be taking on the next one. And thanks so much for watching. I put up new videos on Mondays and Thursdays, as well as sometimes Saturdays. So thanks so much for watching, and you have a great day. Bye.